All right, everyone, you remember the compound case there in New Mexico, which it's just one weird thing after another happening there. At this point, some action must be taken. The federal government should really investigate the investigators here or something. And I say that reluctantly because I believe, generally speaking, the federal government's worse. Look at this case and look at the new news that we've got of it. The judge in the case has dismissed, I believe, collectively 10 different charges of child neglect. For the main potential perpetrators, I believe 3 different individuals, on the basis that the prosecution failed during the proper window of time to establish, basically just cause to continue put them on trial, to basically show, hey, yeah, there's enough evidence here, there's probable cause, this should continue in investigation of this. Now, the sheriff, I believe, has announced separate charges that are similar, specifically abuse of a minor, other things, actively planning terrorism should probably be one of those charges. Actively planning to blow things up and shoot people, yeah. Here's the thing. This is why this is suspicious. You're saying to me that experienced prosecutors failed within the proper span of time to come before the judge and simply say, hey, here's some points of evidence, this is probable cause, the investigation and charges should proceed. Despite the fact that there was a fucking dead body underneath their compound. Oh no, there's no neglect going on here. Yeah, there's a dead kid under our house. So, doesn't everyone have a couple of those for decoration? Yeah, a badly decomposed body that we didn't even really bother to hide, just sort of shoved it in a tunnel underneath our RV. Perfectly normal here. No neglect. Our kids, when the cops showed up, yeah, they were wandering around naked carrying guns and shit. Nothing suspicious here. Now, I'll grant things, and I said this before. I don't think it should be illegal for you to have a bunch of kids. I don't think it should be illegal for you to have a bunch of kids wearing loincloths out in the desert in a makeshift compound. It's a weird lifestyle, but it's not neglectful in and of itself. I don't think it's neglectful to teach your kids how to fire weapons. In fact, I think it's a good idea. Kids should know how to fire weapons in today's age. They should know how to fight because we got lots of enemies, sometimes even members of our own fucking government. Think about that for a moment. But it does become neglectful when you have a dead body lying under your house. I would say exposing the other kids to their dead relative on a regular basis, yeah, that might be a little bit neglectful. What about the fact that they had barely any running water and almost no food? Yeah, that could be seen as neglectful. Despite this, the prosecutors apparently decided, nah, we're not even going to go before the judge and ask for this to be considered probable cause. Nope, we're not going to do that. We're just going to let it expire. Don't you think that's a little bit odd? I think it is. It's such a cut and dry fucking situation. Yeah. These kids were habitually around another dead kid that was buried under the fucking floor of their RV home. This is not neglect. It's cut and dry. And then the prosecutor, remember, when the cops went there to requisition that RV, that the first judge there in the initial hearing said, well, this is stolen property, you got to pull it out of the ground. They trashed everything. They could have made one small opening in the tire wall and largely left everything else alone and just dragged the RV out of the ground. Nope, we had to destroy literally everything and scatter it everywhere. Fingerprints everywhere, there's fucking bullet casings, there's body armor laying out there unclaimed. This is all potentially evidence. They didn't go in and remove it, they simply yanked the RV out of the ground, trashed the whole place. Not even slightly suspicious. It's not even slightly suspicious that the judge granted them an inordinately low bail and just sent them back home with ankle bracelets on, despite the fact that there was a dead fucking body underneath their RV home. I think we've stumbled on a larger conspiracy. I think one of several things might be true. Now, just so no one gets a big dick about Sticks the conspiracy theorist, I'm not saying any of these following are necessarily true. But it is a weird case, and if you think that it's not weird, I would love to debate you on the topic. If you think that there's nothing strange going on here, fucking, put out your own video about why everything in this case is totally normal. I eagerly await watching it. I'm sure it'll go under the comedy heading if you don't want it taken down for spam or scams. Here's the thing. If you look at this case, I think that one of several things might be the case. The number one is ineptitude. That is, that the federal government and local law enforcement are seeking to cover up what was a credible, massive terroristic organized effort to kill hundreds or thousands of people that almost was pulled off and would have been if it hadn't been for a totally coincidental missing persons report. I think that that's the possibility. Number one is that they stumbled upon a massive terroristic conspiracy. They said, oh shit, every single one of us will be fired. The FBI will be shamed during a period where the President of the United States really like, being handed that on a silver platter, by the way, because he's kind of at war with the agency over political bias. We're all going to get fired because we almost missed this case in which it was so blatantly obvious something weird was up. You've got a murder, or at least, someone died because of neglect. A bunch of half-naked kids running around with, revolvers and shit. And you've got these people basically pledging loyalty to Islamofascism. They've even got ties to Linda Sarsour, supposedly. By the way, I need more sources on that. So the first possibility is that there was a massive credible threat to the public safety. And they bungled it so badly, they're now trying to cover it up by trashing the scene. And what they're going to hope, I think, is to declare these people nuts and put them in a nut ward to keep them out of the public, at the same time not having to have a protracted legal case. That's possible. I'll say, well, they're not even really religious zealots, they're just crazy. They're off their rocker, manic, depressive, and schizo at the same time, plus a little bit of chronic depression, and just constant breakdowns into psychopathy. That's basically, I think, possibility number one. Possibility number two is that we stumbled on some sort of government operation. That is, maybe they were informants. Maybe they were set up at this compound communicating with Islamofascists specifically to smoke them out. That they themselves weren't a threat to anybody. That they were essentially trying to attract other, actual zealots in so they could be identified and later imprisoned as part of a deep state sort of government op. If that's the case, it makes sense that they would want to destroy the evidence because, then what it turns into is, whoops, somebody accidentally did die. We tried to cover it up as part of a government operation. Happened to be a kid. Whoops. We really need to get a handle on this situation. Talk to the judge and make sure that these people are not actually put in a jail cell. What if they get assaulted and killed by another prisoner? One of them might get nervous and come forward and tell the public what they know. Could be a problem. Stranger things have happened. By the way, did you know the FBI was monitoring the Tate house the night of the Tate LaBianca, the Charles Manson murders? Did you know that? Mainly because Frykowski was a suspected communist. I bet you didn't know that. This sort of thing has happened before, where, there's a cover-up specifically because it was, whoops, we accidentally bungled up because we accidentally raided our own operation. That might be a little bit of a problem, but I think it's more likely that this is a cover-up for severe ineptitude. I think at this point, the destruction of evidence, the neglectful, apparently, attitude by the prosecution, as though they don't even give a fuck, in which the sheriff has been stymied on the initial charges, several judges in a row making blatantly and obviously very poor decisions with regards to people who may be murderers or have, been involved in a conspiracy to kill hundreds or thousands of people. I think when you look at all of these things, something is amiss, deeply amiss. There is a conspiracy here, it's just we don't quite know what it is. Because I can't think of anything else that would, basically, well, why else would this happen? The prosecution presumably wants to prosecute, but they're acting as though they don't want to. The judge presumably wants justice, but it seems like, deliberately had the scene trashed, and then let people go despite the fact that they had a dead body underneath their house. This is legit fucking weird. It should be of major concern to the entire U.S. population, not just people from within the area or within New Mexico. It should be of concern to them especially because it's like you've got nutty judges, you've got shitty prosecutors. What the hell is going on down there? Fucking, Roswell mode, basically. Meanwhile, did they have a UFO in those tunnels as well? Is that why you had to cover it up? Is this some fight? I'm sure there will be people, unfortunately, when stuff like this happens, instead of immediately defaulting to it's a cover-up for ineptitude, or it was a deep op of some sorts and now they're sort of tying up all the loose ends, they'll default to the Illuminati, satanic rituals, UFOs, and reptiles from space and shit like that. And then, of course, The government loves it when they do that because then it takes heat off of legitimate concerns about government ineptitude within their sort of investigative structures. That's what I think happened, though. I think there's a good chance that this is a cover-up, specifically designed to cover up the fact that the FBI belatedly managed to crack the case here and get them hauled in. They bungled the investigation. The prosecution bungled, the judge bungled, everyone is systemically bungling, and they don't want to give Donald Trump ammo against the FBI. Honestly, I think that could be a very big part of it. That's about all. Peace out.